everyone. I'm really loving the idea of a summer HAES reading group, and so I'm checking out any book on fat acceptance I can find at my local library, which ends up being a hell of a lot more than I thought I would be able to find. I thought we would be choosing from like 3 or 4 books. I already have 10, and I have more on hold because apparently they're popular. So we're just gonna go ahead. And so this is a teen book. I have the physical book with me, but I thought you guys might like to see what the cover looks like. And it actually has the entire, let me see, like the uh, letter from the editor. That's what it's not an introduction for this because this is like a compilation of a bunch of different people writing about their experiences, basically as fat people, as a way to comfort fat teens, overweight teens. And so, because of this, I would probably handle any critique or review of this book with a little bit more care because there is something to be said with handling teens with kid gloves to a degree. Teens, in large part, it's not necessarily their fault that they're fat, it's more that their parents didn't really prepare them for a life of good eating habits, and they are only now. It's not until like you're 13, 14, 15 that you can only just start to grasp what healthy eating actually looks like, and you actually have some control over what you actually eat. So for that reason, I would handle this with a bit more nuance, and I probably wouldn't hit it as hard as I would some other books. But we are still going to critique this opening letter from the editor. And I've already read it. You're welcome to pause and read this if you would like. This is also just the Amazon preview. You can go on Amazon and read the letter from the editor yourself if you would like. I have a couple of things that I want to, because I have little post-it sticky things on my physical book, and I really want to address this paragraph, and this paragraph right here. So like half of it pretty much. But we're gonna start with this first one right here. And I'm gonna read this paragraph to you. There are so many moments in your life as a fat person that are burned into your brain. The first time you awkwardly pulled down a shirt to cover yourself up on the beach when everyone else was pulling clothes off. The first time you heard a skinny friend call themselves fat, like it was the worst thing they could possibly be. The first time you went into a store and realized that even their plus size section didn't have anything that would fit you. The first time someone cared about you said something about how much prettier slash more handsome you would look if you were just a few pounds lighter. Now imagine you've had all those experiences and more before you even turn 18. Many of you have lived that and much worse, and many of you are living through hard times right now. And I want you to know that so many people understand how it can be so hard and so lonely. So the thing is that I have the problem that I have with this paragraph is that it is framing some things like the insecurity pulling your clothes down because you're embarrassed at the beach, the plus size section that still doesn't fit you. These are opportunities to really kind of take a look and take inventory of your own personal choices that have led you to this moment. And I don't like how they couch it in such a tone as though the teen is being victimized. I think that just sets them up for a lifetime of feeling victimized, and that's how we get these fat acceptance people that claim everything is oppression. And I don't particularly care for that. I also don't think that your skinny friend calling themselves fat like it's the worst thing in the world, like that might hurt your feelings, and that I can understand if it's a friend, maybe have a talk with them of, hey, like we know I'm fat. It's not a surprise. So when you're calling yourself fat, it kind of makes me feel bad. I think that's especially for teenagers where things are very like hyper feelings oriented. I don't necessarily have a problem with that in that way. The friend could very well say, "You know what I mean," and let's not turn this into a big thing. Um, but in large part, this particular paragraph, I think, doesn't really. There are some legitimate things that teens face because as adults, we know that that person harping on a fat person, be it in a public space or at the gym or something, like if we saw someone like that, they would be deemed an asshole. They would be deemed an asshole, and people would be like, leave them the fuck alone. What the fuck are you doing? Like, people would be more likely to stand up for that person. Teens don't want to stand out, and if that person is getting picked on, then that's less negative attention and peer exclusion pointed towards them, so they're more likely to join in on the jeering. And I think maybe more advice on navigating those situations would be far more relevant to a teen than this bullshit about, you know, clothing uh not fitting. That's time for you to take inventory of yourself. There are places in schools where kids are fucking cruel, and you can be made fun of in a public space, and it's more likely to happen to overweight teens. And teaching them, you know, that person had no right to humiliate you in that way, and this shouldn't be happening at school, and you should be talking to the adults around you about that happening. That would definitely be something to lead with, but not this. The fact that you feel insecure at the beach is an oppression done to you. I don't like that perspective. The next one I wanted to point out was this. Uh, when I assembled the 30 voices in this anthology, I strove to portray the entire fullness of the fat experience. So often, when you hear people talk about body positivity, you see able-bodied white women who are a size 12. I wanted this anthology to move past this small box, and so within these pages, you'll hear from queer fat people, disabled fat people, and fat IPOC, Indigenous people of color. There are voices in this book of super fat runway models and fat poets, artists, entrepreneurs, designers, writers, and scholars. So, first of all, like, I don't really know that the fat positivity or the body positivity, you see white women who are a size 12. I mean, I'm not going to lie, the body positivity and the fat acceptance movement is the loudest that I've seen are largely white people. Uh, but I wouldn't call them a size 12. Uh, the the fat liberation, body positivity people that I'm assuming this book is more referencing towards, tend to be at least a size 20. Uh, or they're on the opposite end where they're clearly in the single digits and they're just trying to look like it's like that. What is it? It's performative. So it's performative social justice that they're doing. Because it's not really social justice because fat people aren't oppressed, but they have. It's the easiest thing to contribute to, and it's the easiest thing to like fight for without having to actually deal with the ickiness of politics, because no one's really listening. Not at least it hasn't. It had fat liberation and fat acceptance hasn't really broached the general public and hasn't been entered as much into the cultural zeitgeist as things like Black Lives Matter and uh, for some reason I am blinking on LGBT stuff. But yeah, so every time I think about it right now, because I heard the kids on TikTok referring to themselves as the Alphabet Mafia, and I've loved it, and so now I just want to refer to everything as Alphabet Mafia whenever it refers to LGBT. Uh, but anyway, I'm getting off track. So I really don't think that there's any issue with finding these fat people that you are listing here, and I would love to. The one thing I would be curious about reading in this book is this so-called super fat runway model. Like, I would like to know, I would look that person up. I want to know more about that person. So, finally, this one. More than anything, this book is about love. If you had to come back to the one theme that brought all these pieces together, it's about how much love they were written with. It's a note from the other side, from all the fat people who have had that other moment, the moment when they know that hating yourself is a losing game, the moment they know it's okay to wear a crop top, the moment they stop apologizing and start living. We love you and we want you to know that you're not alone. There's a whole community of fat people waiting for you, and we think you're awesome. We made this book because we want you to know that you're important and you matter. Thank you for reading this book, for sharing it, for helping spread the moments that can change the world. This is where I struggle a little bit with commenting on this book, because I know it's geared towards teens who are in a very vulnerable point in their life, but this sounds like a cult. It's like, share the message of fatness and this whole thing of there's a whole community of people waiting for you and we think you're awesome. And it's like this, we want you just as you are, so that way we can shower you with love and then bring you in to fight our political battles. Perhaps I'm reading too much into it, but I just kind of get that sense from it. I don't particularly care for how this is framed and how they frame things that really are just natural consequences of choices that you've made as oppression. And I think it's really setting up teens rather than to face that, oh wow, I can take responsibility for myself, I can take responsibility for what I put in my mouth, I can take responsibility, I can own my own life. It's more just about resignation and how you are actually a victim and you don't have control over your own life, which only hurts them. So that's my perspective from this letter from the editor for The Other F Word. If I'm going to have a poll up eventually when I get through all of these books, this will be an option for our HAES Summer Reading Group. But for now, I'd love to hear what you guys think about the letter from the editor. If you want to read the whole thing in full, it is up on the Amazon sample page. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.